Now you've been waiting for the co-main event. Costa's hurt. You know, all the rumors that are flying around. We got it done. So the number 4 welterweight in the world, Khamzat Chimaev, is moving up the middleweight, and he will face the number 1 welterweight in the world, KAMARU Usman. So number 1 versus number 4 at middleweight. Usman versus Chimaev. I will see you in Abu Dhabi.
Guys, the madness for UFC 294 is not over yet, as we have some more breaking news, this time not regarding the main event between now Islam versus Volkanovski 2, but for the co-main event. We're gonna break it all down, you guys. Please like the video, comment down below, and subscribe. So over the last couple days, we've had a lot of rumors circulating the fight between Paulo Costa and Khamzat Chimaev. Apparently someone in Costa's camp leaked out that he had a serious staph infection on his elbow that required surgery immediately. And so because of this, people were asking questions. They were like, well, what's going on? You know, we're so close, you know, to the fight. You know, what's gonna happen? And so Paulo Costa came forward a couple days ago revealing that he just got surgery for his elbow 3 weeks ago. And if you do the timeline, so you got the surgery 3 weeks ago, obviously you need to let it heal, you know, do some rehab on it. The fight is, you know, 10 days away, so that put it at around like a 5-week timeline period. That is completely insane. Like, I don't think any commission would allow him to be able to fight under those circumstances. And so just as I was about to make my video on the subject of Paulo Costa's elbow, Dana White came out yesterday during the press conference, you know, for Power Slap, the same press conference where he revealed that, you know, Charles has been officially pulled from the fight. And he says, and I quote,
Hopefully within a couple hours, I'll have an answer for you.
So yeah, and you know, it was like pretty much for those couple hours up in the air, like, okay, you know, is he gonna be able to stay in the fight? You know, what's gonna happen? And boom, they pulled the plug on Paulo Costa. He is no longer fighting Khamzat Chimaev, and the UFC have been actively looking for a replacement fighter for Paulo Costa, and a couple names were thrown out there, such as Marvin Vettori. He, you know, publicly declined. Also Jared Cannonier, apparently they wanted to go in that direction, but something fell through behind the scenes according to negotiations. Apparently also Roman Dolidze was also in the conversation, and one person that was never in the convo that I actually was wondering why they weren't mentioned was Iskram Aliskerov. As you guys know, Iskram and Khamzat fought before they were in the UFC back at welterweight. Khamzat knocked him out, so there always is that story, and Ikram is on the same card, you know, as Khamzat on that UFC, you know, 294 card. So it's really like an easy thing to do. Just pull Ikram from that fight, have him fight Khamzat. Also, you know, not to mention Ikram's opponent, original opponent, Nasruddin Imavov, has pulled out from their fight. And so he was supposed to fight, you know, I think it was Warlley Alvarez. So to me, it just makes all the sense in the world to, you know, have Khamzat versus, you know, Aliskerov. But wait, the official opponent for Khamzat Chimaev at UFC 294 is none other than former pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world, KAMARU Usman. Yes, you guys heard that right. KAMARU Usman will now be fighting Khamzat Chimaev, and this fight will be taking place at middleweight. And oh my god, like, so many questions. Apparently, you know, last night after the news broke out, there was a little, you know, hint and like rumor going around that KAMARU was going to be the one to fight Khamzat, just because Gilbert Burns was, you know, posting on his story.
A lot of crazy news yesterday, but you know what? Someone's getting ready. Someone's getting ready. Look at these guys.
And literally just hours later, Dana White comes out and announces that, you know, KAMARU is in. He's stepping in, you know, middleweight debut. I mean, this is just completely insane. And man, oh man, to think that this fight was a possibility, at welterweight a while ago, for the world title, and will now be taking place under different circumstances, now at middleweight, it's just crazy how the world works. These guys have had their back and forth in the past, and now they're ready to settle it literally in a week. And I mean, right off the bat, you got to give such a hats off, to KAMARU Usman for him to be stepping in on short notice, new weight class against one of the most, dangerous guys, in the world in Khamzat Chimaev. I mean, the guy has to have balls of steel to be able to take an opportunity like this. And while, it is kind of out of the blue, I kind of expected this for Usman. I personally have been saying, like, if Usman isn't gonna fight Khamzat Chimaev, or if he's not gonna fight Wonder Boy or one of these like bigger name stars, or an old veteran, there's no reason for him to be at welterweight. Instead, I would have much rather see him, try out, middleweight now. I feel like there's nothing else for him to prove down over at 170. I mean, he's done it all, one of the greatest welterweights of all time, without a doubt. I feel like I could speak for everyone when they say they don't want to see, a rematch with Leon. They don't want to see, a rematch with Colby. No fights interest us, especially the one that they were looking to book for him in December against Belal Muhammad. I mean, this guy has gone from main eventing huge pay-per-views, for world titles, for him to be, fighting Belal Muhammad. I mean, no disrespect to Belal, he is a high contender at 170, but it's like, dude, his style compared to, his personality and just all around the type of fighter that we're looking for KAMARU Usman to fight, it's just, it doesn't match. Like, I have no interest in seeing Belal Muhammad fight Usman. And for Belal, he doesn't have to fight Usman. Like, give him the title shot next. I mean, he deserves it. He has earned it. I don't need to see him fight, KAMARU. I would much rather see KAMARU fight Robert Whittaker's, fight, Jared Cannonier's, fight the Marvin, just fight the guys that have middleweight, those names that have also been there for a long time. Those are such fun fights. Potentially Israel Adesanya. I mean, both guys were saying that they wouldn't do it, but
I'm not interested in that because right now I'm a part of something that's bigger than me.
Right.
Now, they want to offer us $100 million. Me and Izzy gonna have to go in the back room and talk about this. Hey, bro, that's a conversation me and him will have to have. But right now, it don't make no sense for me.
But the number one fight that would be amazing to see at middleweight, Sean Strickland for the world title next. And wow, what a storyline this is. I mean, the UFC, it's all about storylines. Khamzat Chimaev, he, had some time training with Sean Strickland. That fight would be very fun. I feel like we all know who would win that fight. Khamzat Chimaev's wrestling compared to Sean Strickland is just a whole different level. But who knows? But Chimaev versus Strickland, that's a massive fight. Another massive fight would be, Sean Strickland versus Usman, a guy that's already beaten Sean in the past down at welterweight years ago. So to now see where they're at, in their careers with Sean, being the champion and Usman being the contender. I mean, what a fight that would be. The storyline behind that would just be incredible. So the importance of this co-main event has, not only shot up to 10, but now 100. So much stakes at UFC 294, you guys. Please, you guys, subscribe, and in the comments down below, let me know who you guys have winning this fight, whether it's KAMARU Usman or Khamzat Chimaev. Hopefully, nothing else falls through for UFC 294. Later, y'all.